Hello folks! We've now traveled to many different states along the southeast. Arkansas is our final new state. We're right at the end of this over a month-long trip. And it's been wild, crazy, exciting, all sorts of words to describe our adventure. But we're not done just yet. We are here in Arkansas, the natural state, and we've traveled from Hot Springs National Park, right in the Ouachita Mountains, a little bit northeast to the central part of Arkansas. This is where the Ouachitas meet the alluvial plain, the farmland of the eastern part of Arkansas. And given that many states across the US have put their capital city in the middle of the state geographically as a central place to have administrative control, why would Arkansas be any exception? Now, what I really enjoy most about my experiences in and around state capitol buildings is just taking the whole first impression in. So not only do you have this big grandiose display, we have the building, a neoclassical style featured in many states. It's got that essential state capitol building design, I guess. But not only that, you have this big front lawn area with nicely manicured lawns and trees and bushes, and you have the grand walkway going both ways. So once again, like the state of Mississippi, Arkansas is a state that gets a lot of negative stereotypes attached to it, which is a shame, of course. But does this building remind you of such a state with those negative stereotypes? From the looks of it here in the state capitol building complex, you don't really get that impression. So it's here in the Arkansas State Capitol building that you're gonna see all the high and mighty yuppity government officials of Arkansas walking back and forth, either in or outside the building. Don't know what their jobs really are, but hey, it's a nice environment, a nice atmosphere to greet us. And of course, it's a state capitol building. You can't forget about all these stone steps in front and the beautiful front design. I'm gonna be honest, this state capitol building feels a lot more like a fancy museum than an actual state capitol building. What with all the granite or marble that this building is made of, with its fancy interior designs and everything, it just has that metropolitan museum vibe to it. It is kind of nice though. You can have a look at the open view of the state capitol building, yet at the same time relax here at this little, well, cafe area. I think that's the first of its kind I've seen accessible to the public, only at the Arkansas State Capitol. Wow, shoe shining too. This state capitol building really has it all. We proved it again. You can't go wrong giving it a chance and going inside a state capitol building. It's always a highlight. So now that we've explored this impressive Arkansas landmark, we gotta explore the rest of this place. Welcome to the capital of the natural state, Little Rock. This place is a large city. How large, you may ask? Well, it is Arkansas's largest city with about 200,000 people living here. It's also our 20th capital city covered here on the Coverage Project. Now that's an achievement. So naturally, it is time to head downtown. It's a bit of a walk actually from the Capitol building. Usually a lot of capital cities will have the Capitol building right in the center of downtown, but that's not the case. It's a bit of a walk, but it is totally worth it. Now, what are these? Oh, they're nice. Foldable chairs, so in the street, you could just sit down here. And there's the Little Rock clock. Love how it rhymes. In the downtown area, you'll notice that there are those typical downtown businesses like the restaurants and other stores, all lined here. Being that this is Arkansas's largest city and its capital city, it is no secret that Little Rock, Arkansas is the state's biggest cultural and economic hub. Also, furthermore, Little Rock has played significant roles in Southern history and national history. Well, if you thought that the Arkansas State Capitol building was impressive at the beginning of our video, well, it wasn't the oldest. This is the oldest State Capitol building, or rather, older than the modern one. This is the historic Arkansas State Capitol Building Museum. Sadly, it's closed, but that doesn't mean we can take a good few shots at the outside. It's a very elegant building. Now, although this is old and historic, this Arkansas State Capitol building by no means shows any sense of humility. It's not a simple design. This whole building is just as grand as a lot of modern state capitol buildings. Hold on. Now, what's that? Looks like a tunnel bridge of some sort. Wow, how convenient. We don't have to wait for a traffic light to signal us to walk. We can just hop over this major road and enter this riverfront area of Little Rock. By the way, one thing you'll notice on your visit here to Little Rock, there is so much abstract art. Now, I don't know what this represents or whatever artistic vision was put into the design of this, but it's a very cool design. Street art and abstract art that really fills up the empty patches of this large city with an element of artistic beauty. And it's nice. This is the Arkansas River. Fittingly named, right? For being a river in the middle of the country, it is huge. It is so long. And it's longer than a lot of the rivers you'll see and know about on the East Coast that drain into the Atlantic. This Arkansas River has its source in, get this, the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. And it flows along the prairies of Kansas and touches Oklahoma a bit, and then it ends up in Arkansas, where it eventually touches here in Little Rock and drains into the greater Mississippi River. That's right, it's one of those tributaries of the Mississippi, but it is still, on its own, a mighty body of water. This riverfront park is just awesome. No better way to describe it, just awesome. But it's more than just a place where art and creative designs are out on display for people to see in the public. Know why Little Rock is called Little Rock? Well, it just so happens that when this area of Arkansas was explored, the explorers, they found two little rocky bluffs. One was larger than the other, so one was called the Big Rock, the other was called the Little Rock. And we, trying to be careful here, are about to see the Little Rock. Well, to be honest, I'm not too sure. There's no real specification. This is the Little Rock. You know what happens when humans go in and settle a place and they industrialize, urbanize the place. Well, the natural beauty gets taken away, and so that's what happened to this Little Rock. It was much larger than what it is right now, but parts were taken away to support different industrial projects like this bridge. But it seems like this area right here is probably the remains of the Little Rock. So that little section over there, we can say, is part of American etymological history. Just like Baton Rouge we saw, the Red Stick, Little Rock. Now you might think the high school behind us is just any old high school, but that couldn't be further from the truth. And this high school behind us has contributed to an amazing amount of history. As you all know, Arkansas as a state was once part of the Confederacy. It was one of those states which enforced a lot of racist practices like segregation. But in 1954, the Supreme Court ruling of Brown versus Board of Education set forth a landmark stride in the civil rights movement. It deemed it unconstitutional to segregate schools based on race, that every student has the same right to be in the same school. So in 1957, in Little Rock, Arkansas, this very high school, 9 African American students with gifted, talented ability were the first to join an integrated school. They were met with such immense hostility, not just from other students, but community members, parents, teachers, even the government officials of Arkansas, that the National Guard had to be put into place. This not only gathered widespread media attention throughout the country, but it also put Little Rock on the map as a rallying cry for the civil rights movement. People long did not forget what happened here in Little Rock. And this is the very high school in which this whole thing took place. And believe it or not, although this is under federal protection and preservation to preserve the historic legacy, it also is still a public school. 65 years later, we come across this Little Rock High School on the coverage project. And so I'm very, very thankful that this high school still exists. So not only can it preserve the historic legacy, but it can also teach us to become a better society by informing us of the unfortunate events that took place, but the positive strides that have also taken place later on. And so after a long day of visiting Little Rock and seeing what this capital city had to offer for us, I can say this is a nice little ending to the day. What can I say other than this city rocks? Get it? Little Rock? Okay, I'm moving on. Standing in front of the Little Rock Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, capital of the natural state. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.